like being able to do it. So what's the state of the art of these robots? So in the end we do see Atlas running, which looks quite nice, being honest, and we have Cassie running, which is very fast, and you can see it looks different. So one is a full humanoid and the other one is just the lower body, so the locomotion unit in the end. And what you can see here, so the foot looks different, and also the knee looks different. And as time constraints, I cannot tell you now why this is the case, but if you're interested, we can talk later on. I do have prepared some slides and what's the reason behind this. But let's first talk about my motivation, why do we build something if there are really some solutions for bipedal running. So you can see for Boston Dynamics, they are really nice, but yes, they use hydraulics, which means for me, this fluid flying around is not perfect for our circumstances. For example, if you want to have a robot running to get medicine or first aid kits, if they have a broken hose and then you have flying fluids and there's a person lying on the ground suffering, then it suffers even more. So for agility robotics, yes, very nice system, I really like it. And yeah, so they put another body on top and they keep the food, but then they got to the cupboard and finding a new food design, which is much more versatile because it's a much larger support polygon. And I was on their website trying to find if they are still capable of running. Unfortunately, I didn't see running, but maybe there's a video showing running. I'm not aware of this. Yeah, but it would be really interesting. But let's dig deeper into bipedal running then, because there are some robotic systems out there, or some people are using it, trying it. And I would like to share what I think is necessary, or what I think is important to use there. And yes, let's just take a standard slip model for running from Gaia et al, or like a best model from Blickhand. So it's just principle. So we have, in this case, for running energy, the energy is in phase, which means we cannot have this energy transfer, so the flow of energy between potential and kinetic energy. It's more like we need to store it somewhere because if we want to reuse it, it's not directly there, so there's no direct flow. So how does running look like? So what is running in principle? So running means that we have a double float phase, so the staying phase is below 50%, and we have an absorption and a propulsion phase. So let's get deeper into it. It means we have an initial contact, and there we need to be impact robust. So there are some robots out there, and some of them are impact robust, some try to. Yeah, this is a larger topic, and I will shortly show it to you afterwards, what I have in mind there. So the second topic is energy storage to be efficient. And this is stance reversal. Then we have at toe up, I put in bi-articulation couplings, number 7, and hip oscillation, so this is one section afterwards. And yes, for initial swing, I have a leg inertia recovery motion, which could be quite nice for humanoids as well. And for the mid-swing, I have a swing leg retraction on the left leg then. And yeah, also the bi-articulation, so the coupling behind the idea. So as you can see here already, I drew it with like running forefoot. That might have a reason, because let's look at the literature from biomechanics about impact robustness or impact in humans, or yes, in general, what happens if we strike with a rear foot, for example. So this is from a paper. This is from a Nature paper from Lieberman. This is quite famous and highly cited. And you can see that when striking as a rear foot or with the heel and then flattening the foot, the ground reaction force looks similar like this. We have a quite high loading rate, and we do have a larger impact. When striking midfoot, I now define midfoot for my case, so striking in the middle of the foot and then placing the heel down results in a ground reaction force similar to this, reduced loading rate, also reduced impact. And then we have a quite nice case, so I'm showing it to you now, which is forefoot running. So we have this, I think there are some controllers out there, like believing that we should have this inverted parabola, and the loading rate is much better. And we also have an impact decrease of 3 times lower than for the short or unshot case for rear foot runners. And now we could say, yeah, perfect, let's do forefoot running. But in the end, if we're building humanoids, it's not this system, because we do have many degrees of freedom, we are viscoelastic, and what is the reality for humanoids? So at first, this is the equation from this Lieberman, study, you can see that there's an effective mass and from the velocity of the food. But yeah, there is some unstrong mass which we have if we have like aluminium foods. And yeah, so in principle we're always looking at this from like a spring mass, so the spring is massless and perfect inertia, so we have this inverted parabola, we can track it, we can use it for some controller approaches. But the reality is that we have now red, you can see, depending on which posture, so which unstrong mass we have there, is we have an impact. And that means, that makes it very hard. And we should do something about it. So we can like introduce like a spring at the ground, and we do have some oscillations, or we could use some viscoelastic elements, and then it looks a little bit better. So this is this image is inspired from a famous study from Alexander. It's called Pore Properties. So also bio-inspired. And yeah, so we should do something about this to solve it. And we also have another factor contributing to this effective mass, which is then active at impact, which is called alpha factor. This is from the alpha thesis from Krupp 2000, and he showed that when using a linear spring, just a proportion of this ground reaction force will be stored in this linear spring. And I drew the picture for the torsion spring, so we have just a tangential line to the next spring, which can be stored, and the other force is then constraint force, or in other case, is bearing force. So we should take care on building such a system, and yeah, make sure that we are impact robust, and then we can do something to stop hurting ourselves or our system. So next topic, I already said like energy storage, so I put a pogo stick in here. And yeah, this is a little bit bigger topic, so I would like to show you something very interesting from the prosthetic research. So here you will see the final of the T42 Paralympic Games 2016, so these are transfemoral amputees, so above the knee amputees. And you will see on the outside sprinters with bilateral amputation, and on the inside some sprinters with unilateral amputation, means just one leg is amputated, so they have just one carbon spring back. And as a carbon spring, it has just one stiffness, so one elasticity. You can see that these sprinters are tuning this stiffness to a certain eigenfrequency, so to be very energy efficient. And you will see now, when they start running, that that means that the sprinters with double-sided have no variable stiffness at all in their legs. They tuned it to a certain speed in the end, and its right length. And that, this will to an eigenfrequency. And that when they're starting, they have a very weird motion of like abduction, so they need to try to get the foot to the front to at first achieve a certain state such that they can really swing the leg forward, that they have enough foot clearance. And here if they run out, they are the same line. And now the sprinters with bilateral amputation, they speed away because they're much faster. So you can see that, at some kinds, so carbon springs or mechatronic systems can be advantages with being very fast. And you can see it also with a famous study about transteral amputees. So this is this famous Oscar Pistorius case, or the Blade Runner case in 2010. It was a research from Bruggemann right before about asking the question, is Oscar Pistorius allowed to participate in the Olympics 2010? And they did a study and they were showing that the positive to negative ankle work for prosthesis were giving back, so being efficient by 90.7%, while the human is just 41.3%. So there's a lot of potential behind these ideas, and it's not always the case that the muscle system is better. And you can also see this for like long jumping. This is also a famous study from Fruend Konrad, and that's showing that for long jumping, a prosthesis always is on the forefoot, which means for a long jump the human is not capable of jumping with the forefoot, as the forces are too high. So we are striking with the heel foot and then going to the forefoot for long jump. And humans are inefficient in doing this, and so the calf muscles cannot exert this force for a longer time, as the distance to the ground reaction force for forefoot running is quite long. So another point for energy storage, just looking at it like with a virtual leg. So if we strike rear foot, that means that the ground reaction force pointing upwards is below the ankle, which means we can just store the energy in the hip and the knee. And for the midfoot case, we can also store the energy in the ankle a little bit until we touch on the heel. Then we are constrained to knee motion as well to store energy in the ankle. And in the forefoot case, we have an additional degree of freedom in the forefoot, so we can even make spring adjustments or use it for hip oscillations, so to free the hip from having burdens about impact or a lot of energy storage. So this is the main idea for the energy storage. So then let's talk about hip oscillation. So what I have in mind there, so it's also with leg inertia reduction and swing leg retraction. So you can see here the case number 4 and 5. But let's first look at human data. So quasi-stiffness of a human running at 2.5 meters per second. I fitted in a spring. It's 130 Newton meter per rad for 3.5 and for 4.5 meters per second. You can see the hip spring gets stiffens up with faster speeds. So yes, it's very hard for mechatronic system because this means we need to have a variable stiffness in the hip. But I guess we can also, because it's not that different, we can also do this with like a stride length change. And then you should have already seen that there are some weird bumps in the signal, which makes this spring maybe, not as nice as intended. So what is this bump and maybe what is it used for? Because it seems like it's a mechanism. So this is now number 4, so it's called leg recovery motion. And you can see it already in this very famous images from Edward Muybridge, which is one of the kind of founders of biomechanics. He did images with people running or horses and everything. And then you can already see that there's a leg recovery action to reduce the inertia of the leg while swinging forward. And the forward swing is one part which makes the human system running fast because it's between stance time and swing time, and you need to find an equilibrium there to be very fast. And the second part, which is a little bit different, is this case. So it's called swing leg retraction or velocity matching, where the idea is that the swing leg before strike is matching the velocity of the ground, such that the anterior posterior ground reaction forces are not tremendously high. But it doesn't mean that you need to match it to 0, because there's a need of some anterior posterior ground reaction force to have a stance time duration. So that's also something you could investigate with your optimization. So using these parameters and check if there's something in the system which you can use. And then just shortly going into the idea of biarticulations and couplings, I will just briefly show you what biarticulation is. Means if we have the gluteus maximus is one of our largest muscles, and then if we activate it, we have a hip extension. And then if we use a biarticulation, so like a muscle spanning over 2 joints, we, for example, the rectus femoris, we can have a hip flexion and knee extension out of this. That means we have a resulting motion of 0 in this case in the hip. And then we can use a gastrocnemius, meaning we have a knee flexion and ankle plantar flexion, as you can see here. Then we have a resulting motion of 0 in the knee and results in ankle plantar flexion. So with the contraction of the gluteus maximus, we can get a push of motion at the foot, which is really nice because we can build quite efficient system. This is now based on torque equilibriums in the joints and higher joints like stiffening up the joint. In the end, for a running system, you don't have an equilibrium because you want to move forward. But this is just a principal idea, how the idea is behind. And you can see in human data that there are many possibilities in time where you can use this. So this is right now pushing off from the ground, so right before toe off. You can also use it right before touchdown and at other instances. So in general, couplings enable efficient locomotion, but hard couplings means also for a humanoid system that you limit your versatility. So for example, if you couple actuators, that means that if an actuator is active, for example, for pushing off, and you have a dependency between the ankle and knee, that means if you want to have certain postures, or out of certain postures you want to get energy, you always activate several actuators. Then for sure you can also look into the topic of oblique axis, which is quite a nice topic, so my nice paper, feel free to read it. And as a summary, at impact you should reduce the impact at touchdown using, for example, forefoot running at higher speeds. You should use, if possible, variable stiffness and energy storage for efficiency. Use passive motions in the hip if possible, and reduce the inertia and reduce external forces. And for the couplings, they can make a system very efficient, but also limits its versatility. and this altogether results in running, and they are interdependent. So like forefoot running to energy storage and altogether. And thank you very much.
Time for about 1 or 2 questions. I'm moderating for Johannes, so any questions?
Yes?
One little question, maybe I missed something, but I just wondering how to get these nice plots. How you obtain the data? You build the accurate model to,
Okay.
or you just watching the video?
No, so,
Okay.
so this data is a free data set on the internet, so I should have put the source I just talked
Okay.
about. This is what I forgot. This is from Fukuchi et al. So it's a free data set for runners. They have forefoot runners, 3-foot runners, midfoot runners, all in this data set, and you can try it out and like put it together to get some knowledge.
One more question. So if we want to check, check the accuracy or the correctness in the system. So how do you have any ideas about how to check or validate this content in your data in the robotic system or the?
Yeah. So at first, this is an insight into the topic. Means you should use this for optimization purposes. For example, if you want to optimize the system, for example, build a controller, and your system right now pulls the leg forward downwards, maybe you should free up like a degree of freedom to enable this leg inertia recovery, this recovery motion. Because we also had the issue that at the beginning we were pulling our leg behind, and then if you free up this degree of freedom, and then you can optimize for it. The optimizer will find a solution, but if you never tell the optimizer the chance to do it, you will not achieve it. So the validation will come, but right now this is like work in progress.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank our speakers.